You are listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast. Here we will talk all things mental health in bite-sized chunks. Hello and welcome back to Confessions of a Counselor, your mental health podcast in bite-sized chunks. I'm your host, Janice, and in today's episode, I thought we would answer the question of what do I talk about in therapy when I don't have anything to do? So let's jump right in. In terms of understanding what to do in therapy or what are the rules or what am I supposed to be doing, I think it's really important to talk about in terms of what do I do when I have a therapy session booked. I think it's really important to talk about when I'm in the process of therapy and I'm meeting regularly with my therapist. We're working through things that feel really important to talk about. And maybe I come to the point where I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about in therapy today. And there's a couple of different things that can happen, right? We can cancel the appointment and go longer and then play catch up next session, or we can show up to the session. And I've had so many times where clients show up to therapy and say, I don't have anything to talk about today, Janice. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about today, or I haven't had time to think about what I want to talk about in therapy today. And I say, that's great. That's so important. I think it's really, really important to show up to therapy when we don't know what we're going to talk about, because this gives us the opportunity to figure out what is going on underneath the surface, right? Therapy, we can spend a lot of time talking about the conflict and the day-to-day struggle and the what's going on and how am I feeling and how was my week and how was my conversation with my partner and how are my kids doing, and we can do a lot of work there, and I think that is really important work. Or we can be doing more history-based work. We can be understanding what's going on and how relationships in the past have affected me and the ways in which I'm showing up that are relevant to how I was treated when I was younger, and we can really be focusing on that. And when we show up to session in the stillness, in the I don't know, in the uncertainty, this allows us to peel back one more layer, to look underneath a little bit further and say, what's going on? What are you noticing? How is your body feeling? What do you feel like you haven't been saying in session? There's all of these different ways that we can explore that I don't know what to talk about in session. So I often encourage clients to show up in the I don't know, show up in the I don't know what I'm going to talk about, show up in I don't know what's going on for me this week, because we can often do a lot of work. We can uncover a lot in that uncertainty. So I think it's really important to not know and to keep showing up and to keep doing that work, with the caveat that if I continue to show up to therapy, if that's normally how I show up to therapy, I don't know what to talk about today. I don't want to talk about anything today. Nothing's happening this week. If we're continuing that, then that's a different question. If I'm week after week after week coming to therapy and don't know what to talk about, or am not exploring things, then maybe it's time to take a break from therapy. Maybe it's time to look at finding a new therapist. Maybe we've hit some sort of block and need to explore what that block is. One-offs, I don't know what to talk about in therapy, are important and can help us go deeper. And is this the consistent behavior that's showing up? Is this the consistency that I'm seeing? And then maybe we need to look a little bit deeper at what's going on if I'm constantly showing up to therapy, not knowing what to talk about. So two sides to that, two understandings. But I think it's really normal. It's really common for clients to show up and say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And then we can do that work, right? Your therapist can lead a little bit. We can start exploring what's going on and move through that. And oftentimes I will have clients say, wow, I didn't know what I was going to talk about today. And this was really cool or interesting or insightful, or I'm so glad I came today, right? I will often get positive feedback from clients who weren't sure what they were going to talk about that day, but we're glad that they did show up and got to explore what we did in that session. So I hope that eases some of the anxiety or worry about not knowing what to do when we don't have anything to talk about in therapy. And hopefully you can show up to session and say, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And that will be really helpful for you. Until next time, take care. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcasts on Apple and Android. New episodes are released every Friday. If you enjoyed today's episode, please join the conversation. Leave a review or subscribe to the podcast hosted on Spotify. You can find all these details on janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.